All right, everyone, more chat about Wilfried Nancy today. He may well have been officially appointed by the time that you're all watching this. We don't quite know with Celtic, but at the time we're recording, it's still to be confirmed. But hoping it's all been announced by this point. Regardless, though, everyone, we can crack on and we can chat some more about him today. I'll introduce our guests that we have on in just a little second. First of all, a big thanks to Practical CBT for sponsoring the show. They offer quick, practical workouts for your mental health, so get involved there. Okay, today we have Matt and Brian from the For the Crew podcast. That is a Columbus Crew fans podcast. Can you tell they're Columbus Crew fans, everyone? They've got the merch on. Guys, how are you both?
Good. I'm glad to be on here.
Yeah, doing very good. It's very cold here right now. We're getting snow. Took overnight, and we're talking things that make us sad. So I have to say this holiday season here in the United States is starting off a little bit depressing, but hey, we're here.
And even more depressing because Wilfried Nancy's leaving potentially. I mean, I'll start by just asking you, Matt. I mean, how are you feeling about Nancy leaving?
As a Crew fan, I hope something happens and it breaks down. To be completely honest, in my opinion, he's the best coach we've had in the history of the club. Some people might say Ziggy Schmidt, who got us our first ever title. But for me, it's Wilfried Nancy, and I think for me, it's not even close. So yeah, it's a big loss for us if this does go through.
Yeah, how would you describe the last 3 years, Brian?
Man, it was weird because, coming from the Caleb Porter era, who is our manager before, there are not a lot of people that like him. That still don't, but we didn't really know much about Wilfried Nancy before he came in. He spent a little bit of time at Montreal, is where he started off his coaching career, and I believe he had some beef with the owners over some stuff and decided he wanted to leave. And so we were excited to get him. I mean, he had done a really great job coaching in Montreal, but we didn't really know what to expect. And just to come in and hit the ground running the way that he did. Man, there was absolutely nothing like that. Just his tactical approach, utilizing the talent and the players that we had, which at the time, I mean, these 3 years were probably, well, maybe aside from this year wasn't nearly as fun, but at least the first couple, like 2 years, I will say that it was probably the best overall team in the history of our club. We had probably some of the best players, if not the best player, in Cucho Hernandez, Diego Rossi. We had a stacked team, and throwing Wilfried Nancy on top of that, man, he just brought something that we really needed for this club. We needed for this city after going through the whole Save the Crew thing. And it was like it was a fresh new chapter, it was a fresh new era, and we enjoyed every second of it while it lasted.
Yeah.
Do you know about Save the Crew at all?
So this was 1996, was it? The year I was born. Need to just point that out.
96 is when the Crew started.
Yeah.
Save the Crew was what was
fan base movement. So during the time of our previous manager, we also had an owner. Long story short, had put a clause into the contract when he purchased our club that if the metrics or whatever he felt didn't come to fruition in the way he wanted, he had the option to move the team, and nobody knew about it.
Wow.
So they tried to move the Columbus Crew, and the plan was they were going to move the Columbus Crew to Austin, Texas, which now is Austin FC, who is owned by that owner. But we as fans just rallied against it. I mean, it was we took things into legal action. We went to court. We got with the city, we got with the state, with the governor. I mean, it was a fight. The whole city of Columbus, the whole state, all of Major League Soccer rallied around us, and we're able to find new ownership. And again, that's part of that going into the new era of what Columbus Crew has been, especially under Wilfried Nancy. But that was, what year did that start, Matt? Was that 2019?
19, I believe, was when it started.
Yeah. The news broke around, or maybe 2018. The news broke around 2017. It broke the week of my, like literally 2 days before my wedding. I was distraught that they were going to move the crew. We did everything we could, whether it was something big, something small. It could just be, putting out yard signs. It could be going into businesses. It's a very interesting thing. If anybody is interested, there is a documentary. I think it's probably on YouTube.
It's on
you
YouTube.
Can look up the Save the Crew. And you should, because it's legitimately wild. Anthony Precourt is a piece of crap. Plain and simple. And this documentary will show you exactly why and exactly how resilient this club has been over the last decade, for sure.
Yeah, but that new ownership that came in after that is the owners who ended up going out and getting Nancy.
Is this like the owner of the Cleveland Browns or something?
Yes,
like
it's
that?
the same. It's the same owner. Is the owner. For
and while we're thankful for that, there are some issues that we have come across. I think you're going to probably find that with most owners. Like, we're thankful that they invested into the club and building a new stadium and rosters and coaches. Now there's just little things that we have to tweak, and this next move of replacing Wilfried Nancy is going to be a huge part of that. So.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's going to be difficult to replace him. You guys did cover Wilfried Nancy in depth on your most recent show. I would urge people to check that out. They'll get it on the various podcast apps. I think basically because you'd been inundated with requests from Scotland, you gave it a go. So I do want to cover some of those areas today. Just on Wilfried Nancy as a person, Matt, how would you describe him, forgetting his tactics or whatever, just as a person?
He's passionate. He's really, like, especially with the club, but he's someone that I think realizes that the sport isn't everything. But when I say that, I mean that in a way where he understands the tactics, he knows how to win games, but he's even more interested in building connections with his players, building connections with the fans, with whoever's in the front office, and he sees that as a way to get results. When we won MLS Cup in 2023, they did an interview with him on the field right after we won, and he used the phrase, impossible is an opinion. And that's kind of the way I think he lives, is like, someone might say you can't do this, and he's like, nah, I can do it. If I want to do it, I can do it. And I think that's why he's backing himself so hard with this Celtic move.
Yeah. And do fans feel the same way? Because we had, and people always don't like just always making the comparison, but we had Ange Postecoglou, who was very similar, and I think he said once, we want to try and win the Champions League, which obviously for Celtic it isn't going to happen, but it's having that ambition. Then we had Brendan Rodgers, who I really liked, and Brendan Rodgers is a good manager and did really well for us, but he would say, we're not going to win the Champions League. We just we're here to compete and do as well as we can. Well, Wilfried Nancy clearly believes that, as you say, impossible is just an opinion. And do fans feel that as well? Do you feel like he kind of allows you to dream?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that from day one, again, that very first season, I don't think it's ever, Matt, has it ever been done in the history of any club where you have a first team manager that's won MLS Cup?
A couple of times. It's not common.
It's pretty rare.
Yeah.
But I know, at least from my perspective, the way that I felt like we really could do anything under Wilfried Nancy, that we could within American soccer, American football. Whether that is winning MLS Cup, whether that's winning a Supporter Shield, whether that's winning CONCACAF Champions Cup, Leagues Cup, whatever cash grab cup that MLS decides that they want to throw out there, because they do that from time to time to try to market themselves. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. It could be our rivals and Cincinnati. With Cincinnati as a city within our state, I mean, there are rivals. They created that, and it is a real rival. I despise them. It could be going up against Luis Suarez and Messi in Miami. I believe in Wilfried Nancy and the fact that we have to be realistic. You're not going to win every single one, but we can go out there right off the bat and say, you know what, I believe that this team can do anything, and I believe that they can overcome a deficit. I believe that they can go out, they can score 5 goals on them. That's just the kind of man that he is. I think that he inspires his team and his players. I think he inspired a city. And I think he inspired fans to believe in the club again. And, I think that this guy is going to be the limit for him. It's definitely a big step up, going from Columbus to a club like Celtic. But I have no doubt in my mind. I think that he will be a very successful manager. So.
Yeah, you talk about him like inspiring everyone, the fans, the players, even the city. How does he do that, Matt? Is there kind of one thing that he does when he comes in that just makes everyone believe?
That's probably going to be a subjective answer, but I think it's just the confidence that he exudes when he's with everything he's doing, whether that's training, whether that's on the sideline during games, whether that's interviews, being in the community. So I was talking about like the impossible is an opinion thing. They asked him a question in an interview where if we made like the Club World Cup and had to go up against Real Madrid, and he was like, "We're not the underdogs," and of course we all know we'd be the underdogs. But that's the kind of confidence he has in his team, in the way he plays, and the fact that he says that not tongue in cheek, he says that seriously. And and when you see that, and then you see the team go on the field, and a lot of the players who played under the previous coach got so much better under Nancy, that you're like, okay, if these guys can believe it, why can't we as well?
Yeah. Were there like guys who you weren't really expecting to be good players who turned into good players under Nancy?
Yeah. And I'll also say that he is very good at taking players kind of maybe even out of their natural positions and forming them into what he wants. Who's the one I'm thinking of? Sean Zawatsky is definitely one of them.
Everywhere.
I mean, he's like our Swiss Army knife, and I freaking swear to the highest God that if he decides he wants to leave and go to Celtic, I will come to Celtic, and I will have some words. But Sean Zawatsky is he's a midfielder that he could convert into a wing back. He could convert into a center back. He played goalie for us one time because our goalie got red carded, and for whatever reason, we didn't have a backup. That's a story you should look up. But he's just really good at taking players and getting the best out of them and developing them in the best ways that fit his system and also benefit them and the rest of the team. And I mean, that could be, again, playing players out of position and converting them. It could just be developing the ones where they're already at. Like, we've seen it. I don't think it matters whether it's somebody who nobody has ever heard of, or you could take some of the top talent on the planet. I think the man can do it for sure.
Yeah, even just to name some players, he took Mo Farsi, who was in our reserve team. He became a starter for us as a right wing back, and now he's playing for Algeria. He took Patrick Schulte, who was a reserve player for us. He's most likely going to be on the World Cup team for the U.S. this summer. He took Max Arfton from San Jose's reserve team, and he just got nominated today for U.S. Player of the Year. He's taking all these players who, before he came, were not doing anything, and now he's turning them into internationals. Aiden Morris is now playing in Middlesbrough. Yeah. Cucho Hernandez is playing at Real Betis now. He takes players who beforehand might not have looked to get to the levels that they can, and he's gotten them there.
I mean, does he coach on the training ground? Is that how he does it? Because players seem to just love him, so I guess that's a big part of it as well, that they just love playing under him.
Yeah, I think he's a very personable coach too. A lot of our players also were coached under Caleb Porter, again, who was our manager before that. And there had recently been an article. He had had a stint with New England Revolution, and had gotten fired from that manager job. And then hearing some of the stories that came from out of the training grounds of like players that did not like him, did not respect him. He did not treat them well. So I think that this was a new, fresh perspective for them to our new players that we had under Nancy to be better developed, to be better treated, to be seen as humans first, and also to be seen as athletes. And I think that made a world of difference. I think that people bought into his persona and his personality and his character. And I think that when you have a manager of that caliber, your players want to play for you. They want to play for each other. And I think that is something that he is very, very well at, that I also think that we have probably not really had at this club in a very, very long time. So it's definitely something that we are going to miss.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the tactics in a little second. Just first of all, you guys are incredibly positive about Nancy, and virtually everyone you speak to at Columbus Crew, or even not just at Columbus Crew, but elsewhere in the States or the MLS, they speak positively about him. Yet there's skepticism here from a lot of Celtic fans. There'll be people watching this who don't want Wilfried Nancy to be the new Celtic manager, who think that this is, destined for failure. What would you guys, say to maybe try and convince these people?
I think that Wilfried Nancy has proved himself enough in this league that like he is outgrowing it. And I think that he's ready for a harder challenge. And I think that a club like Celtic, who, they're a massive club. They're very popular across the globe. I don't want to. This is where I want to be careful too, because I don't want to offend anybody.
I about to say when I do, I probably will. I
yeah,
probably
well,
will.
worry about them. Don't worry
so
about
maybe so maybe some of those other ones that you would consider top clubs like City, Madrid, Barcelona. I don't think that Wilfried Nancy would be ready for something like that. But to take that next step up and a different league, at a European league where it is much harder than Major League Soccer, I think that this is just the right fit for him.
I think that's fair
in a league like this, and I'm interested to see how he will do. I really hope that he, there is a possibility he could go into it and he could be a flop. It happens all the time.
It happens to bigger coaches in bigger leagues too. Yeah.
It happens to bigger coaches in bigger leagues, and it's but like, I can just say from my personal experience of what I have seen from him, with what he has done for our club, for our city in the last 3-4 years, that's enough for me to believe that he can be successful at the next level. And so that's all I can say is, take that to heart, be positive, back him, as best you can. And just put that belief behind him, because I think that that's something that any new manager is going to need. Like they need a team, they need the fans to believe in them. But like I said, I think that this is a good move. It's a prestigious league. It's a prestigious club. I think that it's a good stepping stone for things for him to go even bigger and further in his career at some point down the line.
Before I answer, what are some of the big reasons that there are a lot of skepticism in your eyes?
I think it's people not necessarily knowing, not having really heard of him up until about 2 weeks ago. And again, it was very similar with Ange Postecoglou. Initially, we heard of him and people didn't know about him, so they kind of jumped to various conclusions that they might not be up to much just because you haven't heard of them. But I think lack of experience maybe as well, although he has been a coach for the best part of 2 decades. I think he's just been a manager for 4 years. So he does have plenty of experience. And I think coming into the difficulties at Celtic at the moment with how our squad is, the injuries we have, the off-field stuff that you guys will be aware of as well, how does he cope with all of that? He's not coming in at a good time, if we're honest. So I think those are some of the concerns.
Yeah, I do think that might be the only thing that might be a thing for him is the off the field, whether it's the fans being very, very strong in the way that they want every game to be a win, and then the press, of course, in the UK and is just ridiculous. Probably more ridiculous than anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, I saw a clip of I don't know what you guys call it, but essentially like the summit with fans and the ownership.
AGM.
Oh yeah, the AGM,
Yeah, that
was wild.
bit that I did watch did not look very, very fun.
Yeah.
So I would say too that like that's something that is concerning for me for Wilfried Nancy. I don't think he's the kind of person who's going to want to get caught up in all of that, though. I think that he's going to want to be there just to focus on managing. But I am hoping that is not going to be a hardship for him coming in. If there's support and things that he feels like he wants or needs, that they're going to be able to provide that for him to be able to make him successful. And hopefully they will, because I think there's going to be a lot riding on that as well. Like he's going to need what he needs to make Celtics successful. And yeah, I'm hoping that he gets what he needs.
I will say too, and I'm sure I'll get a lot of pushback from fans from Scotland from what I'm about to say. In my opinion, Major League Soccer from top down is a better league. You guys could go against that all you want.
I don't disagree with you. Like in terms of the standard, I mean, like an average MLS team's clearly better than an average Scottish Premiership team.
Yeah, I will say like a Rangers in Scotland and Rangers and Celtic are probably better than any club you'll find in MLS, at least in terms of consistently being good. But I think that speaks to the quality of Nancy, that you can take a team. The league has been around since 1996, and the most amount of league titles that any one team has is 6. So it's not easy to win the league, and it's not easy to stay on top in Major League Soccer. And he has taken us to 4 finals in 3 years, and he is a guy who is able to take a league that is a league of parity and still look like a quality manager. Like the LA Galaxy were the champions last year. They were the second worst team this year.
Yeah.
Still don't understand that.
Yeah, it's wild.
Still don't understand that. That's another story.
But I think the worst we've done is this season, which is 7th in the league or something like that. 7th in the East.
There was reasons for why you struggled this season. I know you sold Cucho, didn't you? Was there other?
Yeah, we sold Cucho, Christian Ramirez, Aiden Morris.
We let go of Alex Matan. Yeah,
Alex
we lost a lot of
Matan.
players.
Like we got rid of a bunch of our key players. And the problem is that our schedule for Major League Soccer does not line up with the European schedule. It will, and starting in 2026 or something like that.
2027.
27. So we sold Cucho like the week before, like a few days before the season started, and the window was closed everywhere else. So we had no what we call DP striker, which is what we needed. And we knew that we were, we knew we're never going to find another Cucho. Plain and simple. That man was he just thrived here. But it took us over half of the season to get somebody in, and then he came in and played for like 2 games and got injured for the rest of the season. So that was unfortunate, and we just struggled with a bunch of injuries. And it just wasn't the same. And I think that maybe a little hesitancy too could possibly be from Celtic fans looking at it saying, hey, well, they only finished 7th in the table, and some Crew fans are talking about how, they're just not very good this year. I don't necessarily think that was all on Wilfried Nancy. I think some tactical things. I think sometimes he can be a little bit stubborn to want to change things up from his ways, but I think a lot of it was that our front office and ownership kind of failed him, because we had a GM during that era too, and I also think that that's part of the reason we were as successful as we were.
Yeah.
And so he moved on and is now overseeing a company. They oversee Bournemouth and a couple other teams,
clubs in Europe. Yeah.
And I would, as much as like it would suck to lose Wilfried Nancy, I think that if we could potentially have any other coach and just get our GM back to get us started in the right direction, I would also be okay with that for the time being. But those two, especially hand in hand, went real well. So again, like kind of going back to, I think that as long as he has good ownership behind him too to get him what he needs, I think that he's going to be very successful.
And that seems like a lot of Celtic fans don't think the board there is good right now.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think when a new manager comes in, certainly initially they are backed, and we're going to need to be backed because we need like a full rebuild basically of our squad, because we've got so many players who have been there for a number of years who are going to want to leave. So I think he will. I do think over the next couple of windows, so January and next summer, I do think we'll spend money and we will back him. I think the issue gets to a few years down the line when the manager really wants to kick on. The club, for some reason, have a hesitancy, whether it's being risk averse or whatever. They have a hesitancy to really, I think, build on strength. So we end up back in this position every few years looking for a new manager, and you never get that proper continuous growth. I think that's the big frustration with Celtic fans, or one of the big frustrations among other things. But certainly to begin with, like, I think it's those early weeks that concern me more than anything, the next month, basically, just because we've got a struggling squad as it is. We've got so many injuries. You guys know Cameron Carter-Vickers is out long term. Yeah. Alistair Johnson, who played with Nancy at Montreal, he's out at long term, and we're missing strikers out for most of the rest of the season, and a number of other injuries. And we have big games coming up as well. How can you deal with that? That's
like hard soon, right?
Yeah, that could be his first game on Sunday. Did he make a quick start with you guys, or did it take time for for things to bed in?
I think our first game that we played under him, we lost 4-0.
Oh, don't tell me that.
But that has more to do with the squad we had before was not a good squad, and that's kind of, I guess, what you're saying as well.
Yeah, that's what he's walking into. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, I think the team that we played is one of the best teams in the league. And then I also will say they just won the Supporters' Shield this year, which is what would be the league title for most other leagues. But I don't think that was a indication of the kind of team that he had going. I mean, we won the league that year.
Yeah.
When we talk tactics, I'll get more into it, but his style, when he brings in new players, he usually takes a little bit for the new players to get into the team. But he did hit the ground running. I mean, we stayed at the top of the league throughout the rest of the season. That first game, that was just the first game. That's all I'll say with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of the playing style, Brian, how would you... Sorry, are you the tactics guy, or is Matt the tactics guy? I've forgotten now.
That's usually Matt, but we've talked enough about it too that I feel like I can press it. Also, as we're talking, I'm looking through all the Celtic news about Wilfried Nancy, and I see a thing where it says that you guys are tipped to sign Cucho, which I don't think that is possible, because I'm pretty sure that his contract is for like 6 years. So unless you are willing to pay out a ton of money to get Cucho, man, that would be wild. No, yeah. So Nancy really approaches the game with a possession-based style, especially using outside wingers and wingbacks, holding the ball in the midfield to, again, kind of direct the flow of the game, and at times pushing your center backs up to even get involved in the play. And like I said, I think that we've done real well at it. If you allow him to get people to buy into it, get the people in the right places to to play on the field. It's a very successful system. And I mean, there are some times towards the end of our season where we're like, great, that's awesome. We have like 80% possession, but we had like 3 shots on target. And it's just because it wasn't a game that went very well for us. But I definitely think that he is a manager that is plain and simple, like good possession base, control the game, control the passing, look for those chances, and he just does very well at it. And I know that doesn't seem very exciting, but when you actually sit down and watch it, and then watch how that control turns into opportunities and chances, it's crazy wild to see. It's just, yeah, it's awesome.
So is it like exploiting the opposition's kind of weaknesses or stepping out of position? Because I've seen bits on that.
We focus a lot on creating overloads in the wide areas. And we play out of the back almost exclusively. Like even if a team is playing a high press, we're still playing out of the back. But the big reason for that is to pull the opposition out of their shape. And it's a lot of almost baiting them into thinking, oh, we can get the ball here. I mean, we'll go into our own corner almost and pass out and have an open space in the middle of the field. How do I want to say this? There's a lot of, like, I think Brian mentioned it, there's a lot of our defenders playing forward. You'll have times where all 10 field players are in the attacking half of the field. You can have some center backs almost at the 18 almost. Yeah, and a lot of it is built around pulling players out of the shape, exploiting space, and then letting your quote unquote star players do their thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, you hear some people saying that sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's fast. Is it just
it's
a
about
mixture of
it's about
everything?
finding the time to make the transition. And I think he's drilled, at least the players here, he's drilled them very well in knowing when to look for the opponent's press, and know how to create the triangles, create the squares that give you the opportunity to get out of it. He wants his players, and he kind of requires his players to be courageous in how they play. It's not a whole lot of safe play. We have probably Brian, one guy, just Nadby, who is a safe player on our team.
Yeah.
In term,
I mean, and he's also like probably the best defensive midfielder in the history of the league too. So
yeah,
it's also not a problem to use that guy like that.
Yeah, but we usually have the one guy in the center mid who is basically there just to control tempo and to keep possession. And he's basically the pivot for everyone else to be able to move into their spots. But yeah.
And that'll be Callum McGregor, who's our captain, so I can see that fitting quite well.
Yeah. I don't know if you had any other specifics you were asking about with that.
Yeah, but I wanted to ask if it's exciting, because I've seen a lot of people who maybe kind of get the wrong end of the stick, and we did an interview with another Columbus Crew fan the other day, and he was talking about the standing on the ball, and people are thinking, God, is that really what we need? Because Brendan Rodgers' style, while it was exciting a year ago, it became, the opposite really in the past year. And people want something new, and they want Celtic to win, but we want Celtic to be exciting as well. So is it an exciting style to watch?
I 100% yes. I would say it is a very exciting. It's very attacking. Like I said, our wingbacks are basically wingers. They're wingers who drop back on defense really. Our outside, we play a back three, and the two outside guys on the back three are you can call them midfielders. You'd call them center mids. They'll move up to
who's defending in this team? That's my question.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like we how do I want to explain this? There's almost like two blocks in the opponent's half, so that if we do lose the ball, we have a block of defense to counter press really quickly. And honestly, I think with Celtic against most teams in Scotland, it's not going to be even an issue right away. Maybe with a Rangers or a Hearts, Hibs, I don't know, a couple other teams they might be a little bit better at it, but the defending's not really an issue if you have a good defender. If you have two good defenders, guys who can position well and can anticipate well. They don't even have to be particularly big. They don't have to be particularly fast. As long as it's more of a mental game than a physical game at that point. Yeah, I'll stop there until you have something else there.
Yeah, because I mean, again, under Ange Postecoglou, which is a good comparison because he had a very unique style or a very different style, let's just say. And the one thing, there was a few things we noticed right away. One thing that I and a lot of Celtic fans noticed was he wanted to get the ball in very quickly back onto the pitch from throw-ins, from goal kicks, even from corners. Like, he didn't want the ball to be dead. He wanted the ball back in play. And we noticed that the goalkeeper, Joe Hart, would sprint back and get the ball and get the kick, the ball back in play really quickly. Is there anything that Celtic fans are going to notice right away, maybe in the first game from Wilfried Nancy's playing style?
You'll notice the wingbacks play very high and very wide. And then in terms of like playing from the goalkeeper, from the goal kicks, you'll have the goalkeeper and you have the three back, and they'll sit, like, one will sit at the top of the 18, the other two will be at the corners of the 18, and if there is a high press, he'll hit it right over to the wingbacks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he goes long when he needs to.
When you need, if you see the space in the middle third, he'll go long if he needs to. Usually that's not the case. Usually we'll play it to a center back and play out the back. Dude, you won't see a lot of set pieces into the box unless we have unless you guys have like a set piece specialist on your team. I don't really know if you guys really do. But like when we had Cucho, when we had Lucas Hill around before him, they were both excellent on set pieces, and so you'd see more balls into the box. You'd see more shots from distance on free kicks. This past season, maybe a couple a game. Otherwise, we're playing short passes, short corners.
Interesting.
And it's a lot of it's to pull out the defenders and find space in behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was to say, Anna's also just working with limited personnel as well.
Yeah.
I mean, having injuries, we were injury ridden there for a good while, and trying to make do with what we had. And one thing again to kind of maybe offer some comfort is the standard of where this team was prior to this year, and then getting rid of some of our biggest playmakers and best players of club history. I think that even to get to where we got to towards the end of the season, I think we were shocked that we got there. But it was a good shock, and it goes to show the resiliency of Nancy and his system, and how he coaches his players to still get results, even in the face of that hardship like that. He was still able to get what we got out of it. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to ask you a question. Would you say that the players on the roster right now at Celtic are flexible positionally, or are a lot of them very much like, this is where I play? I don't really stray from that.
I think that there's a few players, like, I think defenders I could see moving around. Like, I'm already thinking, like, Kieran Tierney could be the left wing back. He could also be the left centre back. I'm thinking Liam Scales could possibly be both, although probably he could be a centre back and a left centre back. Further ahead, the wingers are a problem for us. We've not really got a right winger at the moment, so I'm intrigued to see what he's going to do about that. We've got a few left wingers. We've got one, probably our best left winger, Jota, has been injured for the past 6 or 7 months and won't be back probably until February or March maybe.
Wow.
So that could be a boost when he gets him back. But yeah, I don't know how versatile our squad is at the moment, but it sounds like maybe you wouldn't have thought some of your guys were versatile, but somehow
that's
Wilfried
kind of where I was
Nancy
gonna
did
go with it. Was like this past season, our main defender, for the past 2 years, he had a season-long injury. He played 1 game this year. And
But he only played like 10 minutes.
Yeah, he came
He
on.
didn't even play that long.
On late.
He didn't even play a full
Yeah.
game. He came on late.
Yeah, he came on late into the season, but because of that, the guy who we sold Aiden Morris, and the guy who was supposed to be taking his spot was Sean Zawatsky, but because then Camacho got injured, Zawatsky moved back into that center position in the back three, and he was there all season. And for me, he was probably our player of the season for us.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, with the amount of injuries it sounds like you guys have, I would think he probably will try to be like, hey, and this might not be your natural position, but I need you to play here.
Yeah.
And if your players can buy into what he's doing,
he's a master of converting players. I swear to it. I will stay to it. I truly believe in that. It doesn't matter who it is, where it is. If you're a center back and he wants to convert you to an outside wing back, he can do it. And if you have the desire to learn under him, I think that you will be very successful in doing that. If you're needed to do that.
A player I mentioned earlier was Max Arfston. I don't know if you know who Max Arfston is at all.
Yeah, he's playing with the USMNT. Is that right?
Yeah, I think he's played the most games for us this past year. And before he came to the Crew, he was a winger, and he plays wing back exclusively for us now. And I don't think he gets into the national team if Nancy didn't take him. I don't even know if he's still playing in MLS if Nancy didn't give a chance to him.
Yeah.
And so like he's a good example of a player that if you buy into what Nancy's selling, you could go a whole lot further in your career than you might have thought beforehand.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm excited about. People are looking at the January transfer window and thinking, right, what can he get in and how can he improve? And there will be an element of that. Obviously, we need to sign players, but I think I'm looking at the squad and I'm thinking, what can he do with various guys like Arnie Engels, who I think is our record ever signing about 18 months ago, and he's been okay, probably slightly better.
I heard he's
than
been better since Rogers left. Is that
true? And I think he's a real talent as well, but he kind of divides the fan base. But I'm looking at someone like him and going, right, is Wilfried Nancy going to be the perfect guy for you to bring you on to the heights that you need to be? And I'm also looking at some of the younger guys, academy guys like Colby Donovan and Dane Murray, who again, have had good moments, they've had difficult moments. I just think it's a fresh start for everyone, and that's what I'm really, excited to see the wonders that Nancy can work with some guys. Just got a few questions, guys, and then we'll go. Thomas Jordan getting in touch saying, how will Nancy's tactics work against low block and 10-man defences? So you guys will probably be aware of this, but the majority of games we play domestically in Scotland, you're coming up against teams who aren't really looking to win the game. They're just looking to stop Celtic winning, or even stop Celtic winning by a few goals. So one concern that some people have is, this playing style is maybe okay in the MLS where you guys know better than me, but maybe where the opposition are quite attacking and games are end to end. But against 10-man, 11-man defences, how will his system work in those games?
You want to take it, Brian?
No, yeah, you can take it.
I don't want to be reductive to the Scottish League, but I feel like a lot of what Nancy, and we've talked about it earlier, even in this podcast, a lot of what he brings is a confidence that players don't have before, and so with like moving into like a team that's parking the bus, I think I don't want to say this. He's a guy who won't. he won't let that stop the way he plays. He'll play the same way, but he does make little tweaks depending on who he's playing. They're not huge tweaks. He's not going to change the formation. He's not going to completely change the philosophy of how they move the ball and that kind of stuff. But there'll be a change, but maybe he'll see a gap in their right side, and he'll let our left center back move up forward, create more players on that left side that will bring out even just one of their players, and someone will fill that gap and get through the defense. I can't speak to the tactical like discipline of the lower teams in Scotland. But even with MLS, he's done very well in getting teams that want to sit back to get out of position and be able to break their formations even when they're playing low. There are times where it hasn't worked out, to where a team will play, if the team loses a man and they're just like, oh, we can't win now, we're just going to everyone sit back. Where we've won 1-0 or tied the game when we should have won it. But a lot of those times it's because we got chances and didn't finish them. If you have good finishers, because regardless of how a team plays, we'll get chances. And it's all about are the players good enough to finish those chances?
Yeah.
This past season, we had one guy specifically who I like stats and that kind of stuff, and he underperformed his XG by like 6 goals.
Wow.
And
Daniel Gazdag?
Yeah, Daniel Gazdag.
Yeah.
I think we were linked with him. Were we
Don't
linked with him
get-
recently?
We would love if you took him.
Is he Hungarian?
He's Hungarian.
Yes.
I'm sure we were linked with him like a year ago.
He is great at getting in position.
I think we got fleeced on that, but truth be told, I don't know if he just didn't really work in Nancy's system the way that he wanted, and I think that he was somebody that within our transfer window we were allowed to pick up, and I think that we saw him as an attacking power because I mean he had a great season with Philadelphia.
He's their highest goal scorer in their history.
I think that our front office just said, just go ahead and buy him, throw him in there, and we'll see what works. Which, like, if you know anything about American football and the Cleveland Browns being owned by the Browns owners, that sounds about right because that's what they do with the Cleveland Browns. But that's also why the Cleveland Browns are as terrible as they are too, and don't have players that are like that. But that's just that specific one. I think we're all very disappointed that he didn't pan out the way that he did. But yeah, and kind of going back to with I know this doesn't have to do with like parking against a 10-man, but one thing I wanted to point out, I think that Wilfried Nancy really excels at developing young players. So when you talk about your academy players who are getting set into a system, maybe they've only been into it 1 or 2 years, understand that it can be difficult as a professional to be like, hey, we have a new manager coming in who's going to throw a wrench in the works maybe and do this entire thing. But I think that's one of the things that I have been most confident with is the ability of Wilfried Nancy to take young players and develop them into stars within their respective leagues. Now, again, same thing, Aiden Morris, Max Arfsten. Now, they may not be super huge names outside the United States, but for us, they're big names. And you know, Matt talked about that. I think that it'll be exciting for me to see how he does in developing those players. And I think for you guys, that should be something that you should definitely be excited about. Cause I think that is one area specifically that he really excels at.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. We'll do one more question. Goody 2 Views wondering, question about Nancy. It's obvious he has a football philosophy and wants to play a certain way, but is he flexible? Has he ever stuck to his philosophy to the detriment of results?
I mean, yes and no. I think that every manager is like that. Like that's a fair question to ask. I don't think it's very fair to him to say that times that he does that and it doesn't work out, that it like makes him a bad manager. I think that every manager does that, where I think he's somebody who believes in his system so much that there are some games where he doesn't really want to make the tiny little tweaks maybe that we as fans think that we need. but I think that that's part of his tactical genius, and a lot of that at that point I think falls on his personnel on the field. It's not necessarily within the tactics. I think he's good at seeing what works, but there have also been times too where he knows that he probably should stick with it, but it's like, nah, it's like something needs to change. And I think about was that the first Cincinnati game, Matt? He brought Jason Russell Rowe on. It was just like dead boring, and it was like, hey, let's make a sub up top because we feel like we need this style of player for the way that the game is going. And even though
changed the game with that,
I mean, it literally he scored within the first minute of being on the field. So I think that he is set in his general philosophy, but I don't think that it's ever been something where it has been like, hey, he doesn't make changes to the detriment of a specific game or a season. If we don't come out winning that game, and it's because he hasn't maybe made changes that we feel like he needed to have, though, I have enough faith in him to believe that he was doing it because he believed in it and thought that that was what was in the best interest of the team at the time from what he was seeing tactically. So yeah, I think that there can be times where he can probably be a little bit stubborn, but again, to maybe seem like, oh, there's a little bit of caution or there's a little bit of unknown, and I'm not really sure about him because he might not be willing to do that. I don't think that's necessarily fair to him in that respect, because I think that there are going to be times where most managers are going to be like, no, I'm not changing anything because I think this is what I want to see happen. But yeah, I think that he's open and flexible to it when he needs to be.
Yeah. Very good.
I'll also say one more thing before we close out here. I didn't really talk about the front three with the tactics. At our best, which was 2023-24, we those front three interchange a ton. There'll be one guy who's like a point man, who's like you call him a target striker, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
And two guys sitting underneath him. But between those three players, that target man could change multiple times throughout the game. Where, like, for example, in 2024, we had Rossi, Cucho, Christian Ramirez. Christian Ramirez played in the SPL for a little
Aberdeen.
bit with Aberdeen, yeah. But I think most people look at him and think target striker. He's like a 6'4" big man who can sit up front and head the ball. But you'll see times where he dropped almost into the midfield and got assists for Cucho or assists for Rossi. Or you'll see Cucho move over into the left wing, and the left wing back will do like an underlapping run on him. You'll see Rossi one minute he'll be on the right side, the next minute he'll be in almost like the opposite channel, and so if you have, again, it's a personnel thing, because this past season it didn't happen that way because we didn't have the people to do it. But if Celtic already has or are able to go get the right players to be able to do that, that also the way that he does a good job of disrupting defenses. So you can't have one center back be like, okay, I'm going to mark Ramirez, because Ramirez could go all over the field.
Yeah.
And
they were a scary front three, even for Major League Soccer. I mean, they may have been probably the best three pairing almost in the history of the league. In that 23-year run. I mean, it was wild. Like, you expected goals, you expected great play, you expected assists. I mean, it was just fun. It was fun to watch. And we moved on from that, but I mean, during that time, like, those are the good old days, and it was a lot of fun, especially when you have the key people for it.
Yeah. So I would say if the board will back him in the transfer market, and he gets the players that fit his system well, like Brian said earlier, the sky's the limit.
Very good. Officially excited, guys. I've been excited for a few weeks, but even more so now. Maybe you watching this, you're feeling hopefully a little bit better. Or at the very least, hopefully all of you feel like you know Wilfried Nancy a bit better. And we'll move forward and see what happens. Guys, it's been a pleasure to have you both on.
Thank you for having us on here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
All the best for the future, and hopefully lots more league titles and trophy wins for you guys to celebrate. And I was going to say maybe we'll chat again when we sign one of your players, but I sense that might not go down too well.
It's probably going to happen. It's probably
Yeah,
going to
I was gonna
happen.
say,
It's
it's gonna
just
happen.
depending on which one it's going to be or which ones. We'll see.
Yeah.
Like you said,
Okay.
he might see Brian in Scotland as Sawatsky leaves.
He's more than welcome. Okay, guys, thank you. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll catch up with you soon.